you took a taxi coming over here.
Yes.
But in full makeup.
But once you put on the face and put on the wig, you just feel really powerful. For a lot of people, drag is quite scary. You're like, oh, what am I looking at? I don't want to near my children. I don't want them to be near me. They should be banned. They shouldn't be allowed near us because they're like evil and wrong. And it's the same. Drag is like a fun art form. They bring joy. They bring hope. They bring laughter, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of it comes from fear.
Who are the performers that you're more disappointed with? These people were allies, but they're not actually allies.
That's a really good question. I hadn't thought of that. I mean,
Hey, I'm Zack Newmark. This is another episode of Damn Yankee, and that over there is Charlene Coco. She is an outstanding drag queen performer based here in Amsterdam who also does a lot of consultancies inside companies on diversity and inclusion. And I couldn't be more happy that you've taken all of this time to look so great and come and join us and sit with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. And I know already you've got a bit of an insight into drag, zipping me up into the dress, getting my nails on. So you're getting the full behind the scenes experience.
Well, anything for the show.
Yeah. Not sure you weren't necessarily signed up for that, but I'm so happy that you helped me and very grateful to be here. So thank you.
I'm so curious about, the process of drag in general, but also what you do with drag and as a worker or as a consultant at offices.
Yes.
And bringing this art form to the workplace is really a different approach. So I would love to hear more about it. Yeah,
sure. Well, basically, my work life and drag life were very separate before. So before I had more of a corporate job, 9 to 5, and I did drag as my kind of like dirty little secret on the side. Like I didn't really talk about it at work. It was my kind of creative expression, especially when I moved to Amsterdam in 2018. I started here. But I realized that I wanted to bring these worlds together. Like I do a lot of facilitation in my job. So team days, offsites, retreats with companies. And I realized like drag is a great way to bring people together. Number one, people listen to you more when you've got a wig on and pay attention. So number one, you just have more attention on you, which is always good. And then number two, like I think I wanted to use the metaphor as drag to talk about how we basically all in drag every day. RuPaul, obviously the famous drag queen, says that we're all born naked and the rest is drag. Mm-hmm. And the idea there basically being that like, every day you make a decision how you turn up in your job, how you turn up with your family, how you turn up with your friends. And that means not only the aesthetic, of course, like you choose what you wear, but it's also the mentality you bring, the way, you show up. Are you going to be quiet today? Are you going to be loud today? And so I use drag as a way to like talk about how do you want to show up at work? And are you showing up in a way that makes you feel good about yourself, or are you actually hiding behind a character that like doesn't feel true to you, and actually like affects how you feel at work? And if we're not feeling good about ourselves in the workplace, or in any place, it can lead to burnout, stress, etc.
And Charlene, it's also important to point out that the work that you or Charlie, your alter ego or normal ego, whatever, you say that you kept it separate from the job.
Yes.
But also, these were very serious, places where you were working. It's not, there were offices, corporate environments, or nonprofit environments.
Yes.
Where you were working, they weren't like, small family-owned businesses or something like that.
No. But it's interesting. Like I think drag is seen as like unserious, maybe. What's seen as like drag in itself is kind of laughing at the reality of things. It's kind of poking fun at reality and being like, why is the way we dress, and like actually doing a more exaggerated form. Like drag takes many different forms, but it's kind of exaggerating gender, it's playing with gender, it's playing with performance, it's playing with the way we look. And that actually is very serious. It's not just a fun thing. It's actually can really apply to how people show up in the workplace, and kind of like laugh a bit at like, why is a CEO associated with a suit? Like, does it because they're wearing a suit, does it make them automatically more serious? Like, just kind of playing people's perceptions of what is serious, I think. And so it's been quite interesting, like going into boardrooms or going into, quite large companies. And at first people are like, oh, this is a bit different. But people also want to have fun. They want to let loose, And I think like having laughter doesn't mean we don't broach serious topics. I think through laughing and having a good time, people actually are more open and trust each other more. So that's how I feel drag can really help and make a difference in the workplace, but also outside of the workplace, obviously.
How long how long have you been doing this type of work? And also, we should say the name of the project, the name of your work is literally Make It Work.
Make It Work, yeah.
And so, where does you've said kind of where the idea came from, but at what point did that idea become a reality for you?
Well, basically, I've been freelance for like last 3 years, and before that, I kind of just got kind of tired of the corporate world, and I wanted to do my own thing. Like I said, like the two lives are very separate, and I wanted to use more performance in my own work. So I kind of just started. I went freelance around summer 2023 and started doing a lot of workshops around Pride, because companies want to do something fun at Pride. And then from there, the idea of Make It Work, my co-founder Sophia, came about. The word work, spelled W-E-R-K, is actually like a word in the drag community to mean like amazing, slay, great. So we like Make It Work is kind of a play on that.
And then just lucky that it has the same spelling as the Dutch word.
I was like, Make It Work. I'm still learning my Dutch, like it's getting there. But yeah, so that's how it started. And then obviously I don't do drag in my workshops all the time, but more and more like companies are interested in the concept and like want me to come and give a talk or we do a workshop version as well, where everyone has to like come up with their inner drag persona and stuff. So that's really fun.
Are these companies that hire you, do they tend to be smaller companies or larger companies?
No, quite large. So like large corporates who want to make a bit of a splash around Pride. Or actually we're going to Germany for a large company in April, and they just want to do something outside of Pride as well. So we're trying to also be like, Pride is 365 days a year. It's not just the month of Pride. So yeah, trying to get companies more on board to be a part of it. Yeah.
How is it for you, I guess as Charlie, to have, what led to you developing Charlene as your drag persona and actually, beginning drag in the first place?
That's a really good question. So when I was like 5 or 6, I would like dress up a lot. And my parents actually, to be fair to them, were very encouraging of it. They were like, I put on my mum's old dresses and would dance around the house. And every year me and my siblings would do like a Christmas show. And I was very like, the director, and had to boss my siblings around, and they like didn't want to do it. And they were like, why am I doing this? But so that was the first time. And then I think like shame kicked in around 11, 12, 13, like I went to an all-boys private school. And so kind of instinctively knew that I shouldn't do that, and like that wouldn't be very accepted, I guess.
This was in Oxford?
This was in Oxford, where I'm from. So I went to like all-boys private school, and then kind of like let it go for a while, like, become awkward as a teenager. I hadn't come out, so I kind of hid that side of myself for a long time. And then like years later, when I was at university in London, I like watched Drag Race for the first time. I don't know if you know RuPaul's Drag Race. It's a reality show. And actually, even though I'd come out, like I was quite afraid of drag at first, because I think I'd associated it with like these scary like queens in London who would like roast you or kind of rib you or whatever. And also I think I hadn't even like thought about gender much yet. Like I think for a lot of people, drag is quite scary at first. You're like, oh, what am I looking at? What is this thing? Who is this? Like, it really plays with your perception of like what it is to identify as a man or identify as a woman, or gender in general, right? Because drag also goes across a whole spectrum of different genders. It's not just male, female. So then I was like, okay, I want to give this a go. So then for my 25th or 26th birthday, my flatmate like put makeup on me and I wore her dress. And I was like, yeah, I love it. But then in London, like I didn't really have a queer community at that time. So I would like go out and kind of like really bad drag. Maybe I'll find a picture and send it to you. You can put it on. But it was just like really not the look, like really like rubbish wig. Didn't know how to do makeup. But I mean, I was having fun there. I felt very free. There's this night called Sink the Pink in London. And then, kind of like Charlene came about then. And the name Charlene Coco was basically, she's very close to Charlie. Like there's not that much distinction between us. And so I just wanted like a female version of my name. And I added Coco on because I thought it sounded nice. There's no real massive significance behind it.
What is the difference between Charlene and Charlie in terms of personality?
Well, so at first, then I moved to Amsterdam, and then I like found a community here at Taboo Bar in the Gay Street in Amsterdam. is kind of where like there's drag every day. And so me and my friend Kat like started going to the drag nights regularly, and like then I kind of wanted to start performing myself. And I think at first why I was really gravitated towards drag was like I didn't feel comfortable with Charlie in like queer spaces. Like I think like I'd been out for a while, but I didn't have like loads of gay friends or like loads of queer friends. And so drag was a way, kind of like I said before, when you go into a workplace, like people like look at you and like people want to know more about you when you put a wig on and put makeup on. And so I quite liked that because I didn't feel comfortable as Charlie in these spaces. And so Charlene was like this powerful, even though the drag wasn't great, it was like this powerful figure that I go out with my friend Will, who is also an amazing drag queen called El Diablo. I love that it's like also an amazing drag queen. But basically, so we started going out, and then I felt really powerful because you basically, people are looking at you, but you're not necessarily like involved in the conversations, but you are being looked at and admired. So at first, Charlene was really powerful compared to Charlie, and very kind of, I just was more daring.
Does the admiration come out of the confidence that it takes somebody to actually, you know, go through the effort and go out in public in this way, dressed up as you do?
Yeah,
or is that where the admiration comes from, or is the admiration in just how you look at it in general?
I think admiration for drag, it's like so much bravery to go out there and do it. But once you put on the face and put on the wig, you just feel really powerful. And I think when I first started drag, I was quite punk rock. Like I didn't look like this. I was much more like kind of rough and ready. And I like my performances were quite political. So I'd have like cardboard cutouts of people like I didn't like, i.e. like Donald Trump, for example. And I did this whole like medley where I like basically end up kicking him over. And it was like during the time when he was like really bashing Greta Thunberg, and there was this like great Fatboy Slim remix with her vocals in. So like I end up kicking him over. I've kicked over King Charles now, kicked over Justin Timberlake over what he did to Britney, Boris Johnson. So I have this like in my attic, this is like collection of like cardboard cutouts that are kind of semi-broken because I've kicked them over.
It's like the most terrifying chess set
ever made. It is. It's like really not, if someone like looked in the attic, they'd be like, what is this person doing? So where were we? Yeah, so that's kind of how I started, and I really admired like the performance aspect. You could just kind of do whatever you wanted. And so I first got to perform. First performance I ever did was at Lelybel, which is this really small drag bar.
Yeah.
Do you know it?
Yeah, I mean it's it's small, but I would say it's a well-known drag
very
bar.
well, a real institution in Amsterdam. And like I did it with my friend Kat, who was called Diagnosis in drag. We did like a Lady Gaga song, and then the real first time was at Crea, which is the cafe in Uver
at the University of Amsterdam. Yeah,
exactly. And another friend put on a show there and invited any performers who'd like to come, and I did a Brexit number. So it's just like when Brexit was all happening, in terms of like the deal was going through. And like the reaction I've got from the crowd, it was like a huge crowd of like 200 people from that performance that I'd spent a lot of time on. I was really nervous. I'd like never really performed properly. I've like never felt a feeling since that, like that. Like
amazing.
That first rush, like better than any drug or like alcohol or anything. I've never felt that same rush. So I feel like I'm constantly chasing that, actually.
You seem actually kind of emotional talking about it.
Yeah, it was so cool. And I still have the video of it. I'm like, wow, I can't believe I did that. I actually kind of was more daring then. I kind of feel I want to go back to more of that like punk rock style of drag. And yeah, so that's kind of the daring aspect. That's what really drew me to it originally. And that rush you get on stage, which kind of I now have in my job, like through facilitation, bringing teams together, team building, team connection. Like I'm sometimes up in front of like 200 people. And I really, again, get that rush from it, you know?
And
so, yeah,
you know, I mean, for anybody who might think that it's easy doing what you do, I mean, you've been here for almost an hour and a half.
Just put some nails and hair on.
And that's just for nails, hair, and the dress. You know, you came in the makeup already.
Yes, I came in the makeup.
So we're talking, I mean, really to the preparation process is, you know, like 2 to
intense.
2.5 or 2 to 3 hours.
It is 2 to 3 hours. I have such respect for queens, kings, other drag artists who like do this full time, because it's so, I mean, you get it down to a fine art for sure, but it's a lot, you know, it's like you've got to think, there's so many elements to it. It's like the makeup, the outfit, the wig, the hair, the nails, or not nails, the shoes, the corsetry. Like there's so many elements. And like, I'm not the most, I'm quite organized, but I'm not the most tidy person. So it's like after I like do the makeup, it's just like a bomb site, like stuff everywhere, all over the house, like setting powder.
Once a man, always a man.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
literally.
Yeah,
kind of,
yeah.
and then it's so, so kind of, it's a bit crazy, but it's such an amazing process. And you do feel incredible after. It's all worth it always. Like when I get it on, I'm like, okay, great.
Because, I was pretty concerned about the possibility that we might have to cancel today.
I know, it's
because of
halfway
the
through my
snafu
face.
that we had here and everything. And, I think I was on the phone with you around 11:30 in the morning, and you were halfway done with your makeup. And I was so worried that it was for nothing or that we might have to put it off or delay it to another day.
Yes.
And what you said to me kind of struck with me in the moment, that you said, well, I'll just keep going ahead and finish it anyway, because I'll do it for myself and I'll get the practice. Yeah. And I'm just, why would you, knowing the possibility that it might not happen today, that this interview might not have happened, what's so important for you about actually going through and finishing that process, even if there's no, professional purpose to it in the end?
Yeah, well, it's quite, once you start, you're like, well, I might as well finish this now. And also it's great practice. As someone who's like still getting better, trying to refine my makeup. And it's not every day that I shave. So I was like, well, I'm going to carry on now. So, and it is like the process of, for me, the makeup is like, that is the most stressful part of the whole thing. I've got much better at it and I'm happy with how I look. But it's one of those things because you're literally drawing shapes on your face until you put the lip on the end, which is the final thing. You're like, I look crazy. Like until you put like the wig on and like the lip and the final bits go on, you're literally like, what is this? And so you trust the process more and more. That's something I really struggled with at first. You're like, oh my God, this is awful. But you can't judge it based on like, you've done one eyeliner and like the other eye is not done. You've got like all this white makeup on, you haven't put the blush on. Like you really have to like trust the process. And I kind of learned that through the time. And I now start to enjoy it much more. Like, but even today, like I was half through the eye, I was like, this is a disaster. I hate it. But like, that is like part of it. You just got to be like, you're going to feel those feelings. So I've kind of learned a bit of patience over the creative process, let's say, on that fun.
And then you took a taxi coming over here. Yes. But in full makeup.
Yes.
And
that's a nervous part too. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, because also, there's not, let's say, to put it mildly, there's not the best history in Amsterdam for all of its reputation as being an accepting city.
Yeah.
The city's taxi drivers do not have the best reputation with the queer community in general, let alone a drag queen in full makeup. Yes,
100%. And I actually know some friends have been like, Uber's refused or, there've been some attacks, etc. So I'm aware of it's happened to a few people I know. It is scary. That part is really scary. Even just now, like when I left the house, I said to my boyfriend, a bit nervous. I always get nervous for that bit because it's just like, okay, I've got to get out onto the streets. So most people are going to see me maybe. And then on top of that, I got to get into the car and then like deal with the reaction of the driver. Luckily, I've never had any issues with it. The only thing I do notice is my like Uber rating's really low. And I'm like, I don't think I'm like that bad in Ubers normally. In fact, I know I'm not, unless I've drunkenly forgotten the things I've done. So that's the only thing where I'm like,
just leaving the trash everywhere from the nails and the makeup.
Door, like throwing up in the taxi. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm a fine Uber passenger, but my rating's quite low. And I'm like, why is that? And I think it probably is. It could be the drag. That's one of my theories. Don't come for me, Uber, but I think it could be one of the things is like, I don't know, people are uncomfortable with that. And it is a bit uncomfortable because you've got the hat on, like I'm not wearing the wig at the time. Although the Uber driver today was amazing.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. Like really nice. So
also a nice boost in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah. They were like, where are you going? What are you up to? So we had a great chat actually.
Yeah. And, you've been doing this, I guess, for 8 years on stage.
Yes.
Almost.
Now you say that, it's crazy. Yeah. 7, 8 years, which is really wild because I still feel like I'm learning so much.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you were awarded as being
Yeah.
the best new drag queen in town.
yeah, that was, I always laugh about that because that was February 2020, so just before lockdown.
Right.
And me and my friend and this another drag performer did this competition, which is it's really cool and it doesn't exist anymore. And basically, I would say I'm the current reigning new drag in town because it never came back because we were the last one before COVID. And basically, you'd have to do 2 numbers each, and then the crowd would like cheer for whichever one they wanted to win.
Where was that?
That was at Amsterdam 54, which is like quite a legendary bar. Surprisingly, or not surprisingly, on the Amstel. And it was, the stage was literally, a wooden crate, like a tiny stage, but quite high. So any minute you could fall, and you get onto the bar, but any minute I was like, is this thing going to collapse? And it was a tiny stage, but it was really fun. The bar was quite small, so it felt really packed. Like the energy was amazing in it. And kind of where I started God Save the Queers as well, which is my own drag night. And that, after COVID, Amstel 54 messaged and were like, would you like to put on a show? So then God Save the Queers started with my drag sister, El Diablo.
So we haven't really even talked about that yet. So go into it, please. What is God Save the Queers?
Yeah, so God Save the Queers, basically it was me and my best friend and drag sister. We started this night, which is, I think we did it once every 3 months or so. And it was the idea of, it wasn't like a competition, but we'd have new drag performers come, because we were obviously quite new ourselves, but we'd have 3 or 4 performers, each do 2 numbers each, and then we would do a couple of games, like lip sync with the crowd, get 2 people up. We do guess the songs, get a couple of people up, and just it would be like a 2-hour show, really fun, 8 till 10, great. So I did that for 2 or 3 years, but didn't professionalize it or didn't really make it more. I didn't even have an Instagram or anything. It was just a fun night we put on, and all our friends would turn up. Yeah. And then in the last 3 years, it's become more of an institution, I would say, but that's my opinion. We launched an Instagram and do a much bigger show now at Cinetol. I don't know if you know Toll Bar, Cinetol. It's into Pipe, 2 minutes from where I live, so that's great.
Nice.
And it's a variety show. Well, we do different formats. One is a variety show where we get loads of different types of queer performers, 8 or 9. So it would be some drag. We've had magicians, we've had acrobats, we've had musicians, singers, dancers. And then we'll have, everyone performs once or twice, and it's a really, really fun night. And that's more from 10 till 2. And then we also do a club version of that night, which is more just DJs and then a couple of drag performances. And then we also do a pantomime. Are you aware of pantomimes?
Yes.
So that's the funnest one. We did that at Christmas. So we did a show with the story, and Charlene, i.e. me, was looking for love. And she's trying to find her Prince Charming. But she had an evil stepsister and a few other bumps along the road until she found her Prince Charming. So we wanted to bring that UK tradition to Amsterdam. And it was amazing. We had loads of random people who've never been to our show turned up just because they'd heard it was happening. And they were like, we love pantomimes. We want to come. So we'll definitely do that again this year.
So Charlie has a boyfriend. Does Charlene have a boyfriend?
She does, yeah. Well, she did it
or
at Christmas
partner,
anyway.
Yeah.
At Christmas she did. Hamish, shout out, drag king. But I don't know how Hamish would feel about it. In my head, we're boyfriends, but I don't know in reality. But yeah, that was an incredible show. And then since then, we do it about 3 or 4 times a year. And our next one's in May. But it's just so fun. I love it. I love the hosting. We do loads of fun games with the crowd. It's just a good time. It's 150 people. So yeah, it's really good.
How many years has this been going on now?
This is now 3 years, I think. 3 years in this current format.
Once
and then
every
2
couple of
years
months or so, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then before that, 2 years at Amsterdam 54.
Are you looking at ways of expanding it so that you can do it more often?
I really want to. It's hard to find venues here which kind of have what I want, which is great lighting, a proper stage. So that's why Cinetol's great. It's kind of like a theatre format. But we'd like to expand maybe to 300 people at some point. We're just trying to find a good venue.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. And we're also applying for the Amsterdam funding as well.
Yeah.
For AFK. So I really like to expand it, keep building it. This year we want to do a brunch. So some of my friends of mine run a sandwich pop-up company.
Yeah.
So we want to do a drag brunch. I've never done that.
Did you ever do the drag boat tour?
No, I've never done a drag boat
I
tour.
believe there is still a drag boat tour.
Okay,
that they do here.
A drag queen gives a tour of the city.
Yeah, with drinks and cocktails and
okay.
I've never done it.
Actually, I do know that exists. Yeah, I've as a dinner option, I think you can get a drag queen on a boat. But yeah, I quite like to do it, although I'm not that into daytime drag. You're very special in terms of getting the exception for there. Drag's much more of a nighttime art form. Like, you don't want to look too closely. And like under the light, you want stage lighting, you don't want daylight, put it that way.
Sorry, you were just telling me also, have you been on a Pride Parade boat in
Yes,
Amsterdam?
I was my first time last year for a company, and it was really amazing. So I was it was us, 100 people on the boat. And it just, again, never felt a feeling like it, because 400,000 people along the whole Prinsengracht. And it's just buoyed up by this energy. It was just incredible. And I was on the mic being yeah, come on.
I mean, for people who aren't here, the Pride Parade in Amsterdam is very different from other cities' parades. It's all on a canal, or all on the canals in Amsterdam. It's all a floating parade.
Yes, it's very special.
Hundreds of thousands of people show up for it. But it's very unique.
It's really unique and such a joyous occasion. Especially to see all different types of people who turn up and turn out. And it's especially nice being on the boat, because you can kind of get to see the vast crowds, and it's just very, I guess, heartwarming to see it from that side. So yeah, it was an amazing experience, and hopefully I'll get to do it again sometime.
Yeah.
But I had the best time ever. Yeah.
We were talking off camera a little bit. Tom, who's in the room with us, and I were talking, trying to figure out also if drag in general is something that is actually more accepted, more widely accepted now. If, like you say, it's a little bit more mainstream as a performing art, then maybe a little less underground than it used to be. But in terms of acceptance, is it something that is more widely accepted by the public, or do we just hear about negative things more loudly?
Yeah, I definitely think it's more widely accepted now. People understand the terminology, they have the language around what drag is. It's accepted more and taken more seriously as an art form now, I would say, than say, 20 years ago. Partly because of the mainstream media, politicians as well, being with drag queens. I think there's been a push for it in certain spaces. Having said that, obviously that's a privileged position depending on which country you're in, because in some parts of the world it would not be acceptable at all. But in general, I think it's on a rising trend of acceptance. But having said that, there still are laws in place in certain places that are reducing and trying to push down the visibility of drag as an acceptable art form. Yeah.
And so for people who do support it as an art form, and do want to see it sort of grow and flourish, or just continue on being something that exists, aside from just showing up at the shows and paying to get in, what else can people do?
Well, I think, consuming the art form in any way that you want to, right, I think is a key way. So, of course, you have all the queens on the reality shows, and they have music and products, etc. But I do really think that the key way to support local drag is, obviously show up at the shows. But if you can't show up at the shows, sharing their content on your social media, boosting their nights, and kind of, shouting out loudly to them, booking them in your company. So any way I think you can give more money to the community, I think is the key way. Also engaging in conversations, which can be difficult, is, the thing about being an ally, right? If someone says something which is, not a nice comment towards the community, being able to call that out or question it, why do you think that way? And trying to avoid shaming them, but also trying to engage them in a conversation and, be curious about their point of view, but hopefully they'll also have a curious point of view as well. I think we live in such a polarized time where people aren't listening to each other. And I think, engaging someone and be like, hey, why are you uncomfortable with a drag queen, or, anyone from the community, and trying to engage in a healthy conversation, I think is difficult, but I think is the way we need to move forward as well.
Is it sometimes just people who are trying to start shit and they don't really care who they're starting shit with, and they just grab the most visibly the most visible person that they can try to pick a fight with?
I think it's that, but I think it goes back to the thing of fear, especially the queer community. especially for trans people, people just like are very fearful of it because of the rhetoric in the media and online. And if you get in certain circles, people are going to push crazy things around the community, and they're a very vulnerable community and need to be protected and supported at all costs. So I think, you know, regardless of, aside from drag, I do think the trans community is a real, within the LGBT community, but for everyone in public, needs to be supporting people because it's really hard, you know, and there's a lot of media backlash and political backlash against the community right now.
Who are the performers that you're more disappointed with, that maybe you thought, you know, these people were allies, but they're not actually allies?
That's a really good question. I hadn't thought of that. I mean, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because I feel performers I listen to and watch are all supportive of the community. I mean, like the obvious ones are like, you know, childhood authors such as J.K. Rowling, who's just like completely gone off the rails and like has doubled down so far on her original point that she's just lost, I don't know, in my head, she's like completely lost reality with the community and probably doesn't even know anyone from the community. So she's an example of that. But I mean, there's no one who, I'm trying to think of anyone who like I used to really like. I'm like, oh, you know, not great. I can't think of any off the top of my head right now.
All right.
I'm erasing from my memory.
Did you have something that happened at a show that caught you off guard?
No, I actually haven't. All the shows have, again, always had very supportive, maybe one or two extra drunk people who like try and push the queen off stage. We've had that a couple of times. So more of a danger to our safety. I have never felt like, a danger for me being in drag, but again, I know other performers have, so I don't want to like diminish the possibility that can still really happen in the city, you know.
If that didn't happen to you, what you know, taking the sort of seriousness of the violence of being pushed off stage aside, and the, you know, the threat of protest or the threat of some sort of aggressive act, you know, those aside, you know, what's really kind of like the performance that you wish you could do over again? Did you have like a kind of like, you know, a kind of worst moment that you were like, oh man, you know, that really shouldn't have happened. I wish I had that one.
I mean, wardrobe malfunction is normally the thing. Like, I used to do these crazy performances where I'd wear like, I had this performance where I wore like, so random, but like a UK Union Jack morph suit, which then I take off and reveal like an EU morph suit. I don't know, as I said, drag used to be very, very strange.
It's a Brexit show.
It was a Brexit show, and there's this whole reveal of like, I love the EU. And of course, like the morph suit like got stuck, I couldn't get the wig off. So at the end, I just threw it all off, which actually made it more punk rock and did get a reaction. But I like look back at those videos and I'm like, you're such a mess, girl. So probably like wardrobe stuff is the main thing. Another way to be a great ally is to support trans people in their transition, because it's really expensive and it can be really hard to get insurance, especially in the Netherlands, for any surgeries you want, such as facial feminization, FFS. So again, one thing you can do is there'll be a lot of GoFundMes around, or so being able to support the community with money towards their transition, I think is a great support as well. And I want to shout out a friend, but also an amazing drag performer who's going through transition, called Eve Fatale, and she has a fund going right now. So that's another way. What is Eve Fatale's GoFundMe about? So it's for her facial feminization surgery. And she knew, it's a substantial amount of money. I think it's about 26K. So maybe I'll share the link and we can add that in. If that's possible. But
here in this case, in the Netherlands, where, health insurance can be both comprehensive but also limiting in ways that maybe you wouldn't necessarily accept. Why is she not able to get her health insurance to cover that? Or I think it's if I'm using the right pronouns.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah. It's I think it just can be very lengthy processes, and for people who don't feel they're living in the right body, like people want to speed up these processes, or you don't get the surgery you want or the doctor you want. So I think it's quite restrictive in where you can go, and there aren't many trans clinics in the country. So it's kind of wait times, not getting the right surgeon, etc. So it's a mixture of things.
Yeah.
And like long wait times basically. So
you've got to tell me about your involvement with Amsterdam Dance Event.
Oh, yes.
So, people don't necessarily know Amsterdam Dance Event is, among the biggest annual events that happens in Amsterdam every year.
Yeah.
Drawing tens of thousands of people from outside the Netherlands in for this event every October.
Yeah.
Selling tickets upon tickets upon tickets, with tons of free events also going on outside of the main festival and thing as well. It's also a conference. And so tell me, what was your involvement with that last year?
Yeah, AD is so incredible. I hadn't really realized how huge it was because you see like the nights you go to, but it's a whole conference, right? So they did this, I moderated a panel on queer nightlife around the globe. It's called Queer Nightlife Worldwide. And we had like 4 different DJs there, including one who's a famous drag queen / DJ, Bimini, from the UK. But we had DJs from UK, Berlin, Brazil, France. And it was just talking about like the importance of like queer nightlife spaces and how they are a space for liberation, for escapism, for creating your own community and reality, and like kind of looking at across the world, the similarities but differences between these spaces and what makes each space unique. How can we like make sure these spaces are protected, especially at a time when a lot of nightlife places are closing because of funding. From my own experience of just having a small night, it's hard to put on nights, and so nightlife spaces are closing. So how can we support the community to keep these vital spaces open where people can feel free and liberated to live how they want?
And that was 6 months ago. Now,
it was, yeah.
What's the development been over the past 6 months?
Well, I think here in Amsterdam, has a good thriving scene. We have like Club Round, but I think the key thing is just to, again, support these places, go out, enjoy them, go to the drag nights, go to the club nights, and make sure they stay open. They're there. If people don't use them, they're going to go.
Right.
So get out and party.
It's one of those things because sometimes you want to keep a place a secret because you want to make sure that you can get into it, and 100%. You don't want you don't want it to be like this crowded venue all the time, or there's a favorite restaurant that you're always want to make sure that you get a table. Yeah. And the moment you start telling people about it, then it gets too full. But then if people don't know about it, then the restaurant closes or the bars close.
Catch-22, what are you going to do? But but I think still, it's just about showing up as well and having a good time.
How do you feel like it's developed or the crowds have developed over the 5 or 6 years or 7 years now that you've been doing this?
At God Save the Queers in general?
At God Save the Queers, but also for drag as an art form in general.
Yes, that's a great question. I think it's definitely gone from more of a niche to quite mainstream. I kind of think, yes, people are much more aware of drag now than they were, say, 10 years ago, partly because of the TV program. And I think drag queens have like become more, mainstream, like quite the right word, but like people are aware of them. People, they turn up in offices now, like I'm doing, or like at staff parties. Like it's a much more accepted art form. So I think it's seen as really fun, and a lot of people want to be around drag queens. However, saying that, I still think it's a very subversive art form that does maintain like an underground feeling to it. Because I think it is at its core quite punk rock. Like you're really playing with gender, you're playing with perception, you're playing with reality, you're creating your own reality, and that's really queer to like create your own, your own world, and that's so beautiful. And another drag show which I really love, run by friends, is called Fatale Cabaret, and that is also one where it has so many different types of drag, and it like really has its own community and own world, and I think that's really special. So I do think drag forms and builds community, but at the same time it has become like more accepted. So the crowds I have are like super diverse. It'll be a mixture of queer people, but also the last show at the pantomime was like an older crew, which is lovely to see. And yeah, very like lots of all genders turn up, and yeah, it's lovely. So it's a very diverse crowd.
I've had a hard time trying to understand why some people who are not in the community are feel so confronted by drag queens in particular. I'm straight. I'm not in the queer community. But that said, I've always found it to be either funny or outlandish or just different or silly or they're artistically done, and there are so many. I'd say all of the different styles of performers all bring something different to it as an art form, and I have a hard time understanding why people can get so upset by drag queens in general. Do you have a feeling?
Yeah, I mean, it's now more right now. I feel drag as an art form is really under pressure and in a dangerous place, especially like, for example, in the US, where there's a lot of drag bans in the southern states. And I've never understood it. There's this like association with drag and like pedophilia, kind of thing. Like there's an obsession with like drag queens not reading children's books. Or, these kind of things where it's like become really, it's seen as like a moral panic, I guess, when you've seen this time and time again with queer people in the 80s, with the rise of the AIDS pandemic. But now we're seeing that, especially for the trans community. This kind of moral panic, this obsession over bathrooms, when the trans people are such minorities. It has so much news space for a very vulnerable community, which is small. And it's the same. Drag is like a fun art form. Like drag queens, like want to have fun and be in the club. Like they're not a danger to society. They bring joy. They bring hope. They bring laughter. And I think a lot of it comes from fear. Is again, like I said at the beginning, like people are uncomfortable, and when people are uncomfortable or fearful, that can lead to violence, which, I mean, I don't understand that, but for some people it's a reaction to it, and people feel, I'm uncomfortable, this doesn't feel right to me, and it doesn't feel right within my worldview, and thus it must be wrong and bad and evil. I think that's where people go. And then when you also have politicians kind of sparking and poking that fire and poking that bear, it just creates more of a fire around that topic, and people feel emboldened then to be like, no, fuck drag queens. Sorry, I don't know how to swear.
You can swear.
Yeah, fuck them. Like they shouldn't be. I don't want to near my children. I don't want them to be near me. They should be banned. They shouldn't be allowed near us because they're like evil and wrong.
And of course, drag on its own isn't necessarily something sexual either.
No, exactly.
Because there's a lot of drag that, there's flirtatious drag, but
100%,
but that's just a subset.
Yeah, and it's also like, for me personally, like my drag's never gonna be around children. I don't, it's not the audience I want, like in terms of, but drag comes in so many different forms, and so like, it shouldn't be a thing which is, a moral obligation. You can't be near a child. It's like, there's some very racy forms of drag, which of course would never be in front of children, but it just becomes, I find it such a strange topic, because it's like, most drag queens like don't even want to be around, don't want to be around children. Like that's not their thing at all,
Right.
They just want to be drunk in a bar.
Right.
They want to get a free drink. Like they're looking for a free drink and a good time with someone their age. Okay?
Right, yeah.
Or a sugar daddy, to be honest, probably someone older who can pay for their drinks. And
pay for the costuming.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's so expensive. Children can't tip. But it is a scary time. There have been issues with taxis, as we've spoken about. There have been, there's more panics, not just in the US, but across the world. I don't necessarily feel that safe. I mean, I never had any particular issues, but there are certain areas I wouldn't go in Amsterdam dressed in drag. I'd always normally be with people. After I leave here, I'll get straight in a taxi, go straight home. So it's not like I'm like going to the shops in drag.
Right.
Which maybe I should start doing.
Would you?
Yeah, maybe I'll get to Albert High enough for this. I don't know. In full drag. I mean, most people like love it.
I mean, would you, in the sense of, is that something that you would want, or is that an aspiration for you where, any time of day, if you feel like going out in drag, you'd want to go out in drag? Or do you really see this as being, drag as sort of like a professional side of you, or a side role of you, and then, there's, other parts of your life that you like being Charlie in?
Yeah, so for me, drag is definitely like a performance and a fun thing I do. Like I'm like a cis man, so it does. For me, drag is just a performance element, right? It doesn't. It's not how I identify in my gender. So for me, like, I mean, going to shops would be funny, but it's not something I want to do in drag. Drag is something I want to be on the stage with lights, where people can look at me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of for me. And that's also a privilege, right? Because I am a cis man, so I get to take this off, and I get to like go to the shop and not be looked at because I identify as a cis male. For like the trans community, you know, every day can be a scary situation, right?
Right.
And how they shop and go about their daily life and how people react to that. So that's a very different thing to me in drag. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, you know, you've said this a couple of times now that one of the things you really like about being in drag is all eyes on you.
Yes.
And that moment of attention that you get.
Yeah, that rush.
What does that come from? Is that something that when you were younger you didn't get enough attention, or you know,
like psychologist?
But what is that? Because some people, you know, definitely have a need to be up on stage and, you know, to be the center of attention all the time, and some people just want to be the center of attention in their, you know, day-to-day ordinary life, and some people want to fade into the background in general. So what is it, you know, where does that come from for you?
That's a good question. I mean, being an attention whore, I want to go to therapy for it.
I don't use that kind of language.
No, I'm joking. I think I fantasized a lot as a child. I think it's a very queer experience to be like, look at pop stars and be like, oh my God, like, do I fancy them or do I want to be them? You know, like, is Britney Spears hot, or I'm like, just actually I want to be her? And that's definitely something I grappled with. And so I think as a child, like, I mean, like I said, I dressed up when I was like 5 or 6 and then stopped. That side, and there was still this desire. And I remember really clearly at school, there was like a talent show. But I didn't enter it because I didn't really have a talent. But I was really jealous of everyone up on the stage. I was like, I want to be on the stage. And I will always never forget this moment, which probably did really shape me. When I was in my primary school, the final year, always put on a play, a Christmas play, and they're always the stars of the show. And then the younger years are like the supporting cast. And I was always in the supporting cast for like every show, every year for the older years. And when it got to my year, the music teacher changed and they didn't do a show that year. So I didn't get my shining moment. And that explains why I'm in a wig today. So I think that definitely played a role, because I think I always wanted to. And then I didn't choose drama at school. I did music and art. And like, so I think there was this need to perform. And then I kept that, you know, locked away for ages until I started drag in my 20s, you know. So I think that kind of explains it. And now it's evolving, because I actually am really comfortable with Charlie on the stage now as well through my job. And so like both Charlene and Charlie have their own places on the stage. And I just like love bringing people together, cracking jokes, like having a good time on stage, just fun. So I don't find that intimidating, you know. You
talk about also coming out as a gay man, or as when you were younger, I guess.
Yes.
But then also at some point you would have had to have kind of come out as a drag queen as well.
True. Yeah.
Can you explain to me a little bit what that experience is like on your side of it, especially when it comes to your family?
Yeah, of course. So coming out as gay, I didn't come out until I was 21. So I was a bit older. I definitely think, like the relationships and stuff had happened before, but I wasn't like, you know, comfortable talking about it. So when I came out, I did move to France for a year for my study abroad. And I thought it was a great moment because I can just start again and wipe the slate clean and hey, I'm gay now. And my parents are great, and even though I struggled with it myself, like I actually had a big support network from my family and friends, and didn't really struggle with it. I'd had some issues at school with not bullying but like teasing around it, and so I was quite like sensitive around it, etc. But for my family, great.
Your friends at school knew before your family knew?
Some did, yes. And also it's funny because like I came out to my brothers and sisters, and I was like, I've got something to tell you, like, take a seat. This is going to be hard. It's going to be big news. And then I told them, they're like, oh yeah, cool, great, no problem. And I think I wanted this dramatic moment, and it just like wasn't in any way. They were like, oh cool, yeah, kind of new.
And now you're on stage in a wig.
Yeah.
Getting the attention again.
And then, but drag actually was more of a challenge, like definitely with my parents. No, they were never like, how dare you do this? I just think it's a little... You know, it takes a bit of time to kind of understand it, especially if you've never been around the art form before. So now my dad calls it my Britney thing. Which is his way of kind of like accepting it. And then my mum gets it and is interested and was like, oh cool, how's the show? And I send pictures and videos in our family group chat, which like some people reply to, you know, but my dad looks at it and is like, oh cool. But like they're very supportive of it, and I actually want them to see a show at some point. So,
they haven't seen you perform before?
No, because I've only ever done it in Amsterdam really. I haven't really performed in the UK where they're based. So that is on my list at some point, maybe this year. We'll see.
They don't come out here?
They do, but like it's not normally around a show. But this year maybe I'm trying to be a bit more organized and getting the dates sorted. I'm going to maybe say, yeah, come for a show. It'll be quite good. It'll add a different level of stress, I think, but I think it'll be fun. Yeah.
I mean, you said it's not something that you're not a very organized person or you're not very good at.
Yeah.
You know, maybe this is part of it. Maybe this is
finally
the reason to get it together, right?
I know. I think that's a good point. And I think, I just lost it now. I think, what was I saying? But also interestingly, I have struggled a bit with, like, I mean, I'm trying to use drag more in the workplace, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes I get a bit of fear around talking about that. I mean, I obviously don't because I turn up at the office in full drag, but like posting about it on LinkedIn, or which is meant to be a quote unquote professional setting, can sometimes make me pause for a second and be like, oh, like, how is this going to be perceived? Are people going to like think I'm really unprofessional and never hire me? When actually it's like a superpower of mine and I should like lean into it more. But at times I do feel a bit like people are not gonna take me seriously. Which I like times, fight about that.
What are those times that you really kind of hold back? Is there a specific moment?
It's just they find like posting about it on, hey, I did this thing with X company, and it's like a picture of me in drag. Something about LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn is a slightly annoying platform anyway, but it just feels, I go, oh God, are we actually going to do this, you know, in a way that I don't have it with like, obviously Instagram or whatever. So those are the times I feel it a little bit. And then when you go into an office, when you are around people in suits, it's just a bit of a funny juxtaposition, but I feel fine about it. Like,
because, you know, we've talked to a number of comedians who do corporate gigs and corporate work. Yeah. And a lot of times they sort of feel like, you know, the gig itself is not their favorite thing to do, right, because the people in the room are not there voluntarily. They're sort of like pressured to go or forced to go, or it's some training that they have to do, or, you know, here it's the work anniversary party. And, oh yeah, by the way, there's a comedian and you've got 50 people who are, you know, on their phones trying to get something done on deadline, but are sort of feel like that they're forced to sit in the room. Yeah. Is that something that you encounter at all on that side?
No, actually not. No. Like every time I go, people are like very engaged and people who want to be there are there. The only one thing I once did, which I can't believe I did this, was there was one corporate gig where it was a bit like that. And it was, people were just, I mean, I wish I get like, they're just like, I want to have a drink and chat. But like, we're obviously performing. And then I stopped my track halfway through. Because I was like, I'm sorry, like, is anyone going to pay attention to me? Like, people were, but like, there was actually quite a lot of background chattering. So I was like, I can't even hear the track. So I was like, my one diva moment in drag was like stopping the track. I'm like, hello, I can't perform unless you look at me. And it worked. So, but that is like a one-off thing. I haven't done that ever before, and I can't believe I did that, to be honest. So
if that worked in that setting, who's to say why it wouldn't work on LinkedIn as a whole?
Yeah, that's true. Just be like, have everyone look at me. Yeah, it's fine. It's just the only time that I really kind of, sometimes I'm like, oh God, am I going to post on this platform? But it works, so it's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
We were talking about your parents a minute ago.
Yes.
Your parents who haven't seen you perform before,
yes.
But I'm curious, were they surprised that, you know, you've turned out to be somebody who wanted to be a performer?
No, I think they were kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. I think, like I said, when I was young, I put on plays and was quite theatrical. So I think they weren't necessarily surprised on the performance front. Perhaps the mode of the platform or the type of performance I'm doing. They were like, okay, I haven't heard about this before. But then also I think, like, you know, drag has always existed. It's just maybe not in, you know, the package it is now. Like, for example, you know, there was Lily Savage, was like a TV presenter in the UK who was a guy in drag and he like did this game show, and that was an accepted form on TV, or like Rocky Horror Show, you know, is another form where like drag is an aspect of it. So there's been loads of examples where people are dressing up in drag. It's just what is deemed in the past as acceptable versus now, you know. There wasn't RuPaul's Drag Race back in the day.
Right.
So yeah, so they're on board with it. They like it.
Do you look at drag as being kind of a development of, you know, performances involving cross-dressing in general, like men playing women's roles, women playing men's roles, typically men playing women's roles going back centuries on stage?
Yeah, 100%.
Do you look at drag as being something that developed out of that, or as being something really totally separate from that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's one theory, the word drag. I mean, I don't think this is right, but there's one theory of drag comes from, it's an acronym for dressed as a girl, which would be like men dressing up in female clothing. Because also people back in the day, like women weren't allowed to act. So men would dress up and play the female roles.
Right.
So that was like an early form of drag, you know, and misogyny. But that was an early form. And so, yeah, there was like male only productions, which the men would dress up in drag. So that's kind of where it's born out of in the West, for example. There's other different forms of drag in different parts of the world. So yeah, absolutely, it comes from that. And then like the vaudeville scene and becoming more accepted in. It's always been kind of accepted, I think, in like theatrical spaces. And then through queer spaces, like club spaces, like I said, like the community inward facing, where it's like a space just for us, is where drag also thrived as well. Because
one thing for me is I sort of look at them as being separate because of the sort of exaggerated nature of drag in general.
Yeah. Or
a sort of outlandishness that comes with it. But then at the same time, if you think a little bit more about it, you know, when you're talking about 200-300 years ago, or even the ancient Greek plays, where, you know, men would dress up as women, or the makeup that was used was extremely elaborate, or the masks that were used were extremely elaborate to make sure that whoever was sitting all the way in the back could see what was going on. Yes. And then you think about it from that way, and then it starts to blur the line. Yeah, for me, where once maybe I thought there was a very clear line, and then maybe it's not so clear, actually.
I don't think it is that clear, and I think drag can be anything you want it to be, really. And yeah, you do paint you do want to paint makeup-wise for the back of the room. That's why you want the camera a little far away, so it's not too close. And for the stage lighting. So I think, it's born out of theatrical tradition as well, and also like playing with gender, etc. So I don't think, once you start delineating what is and what isn't drag, I think you already run into problems. I think, if you want to do drag and you do it in your own way, there's no rules. And actually I have to remind myself of that, because I'm like, oh, I should want to look like this, or it should be like this. And it's like, there's no shoulds in drag. Like, do what you want to do your own expression of it. And like, that's amazing and beautiful. And there's no rule book,
What is your goal as a performer? Is your goal to be a performer full time, or is the goal to really be, building up this business that you're doing in inclusion consultancy? Yeah. And doing both of them simultaneously? I
think I love Charlene as like, I can dip in and out of, I love her. I wouldn't want to perform full time. I have like such respect for like full-time performers, but I want to use her and keep building our community with God Save the Queers. And also, see where I can take her in corporate spaces as well. Keep building my performance portfolio. So keeping her like as she is, but like just building up and getting some more fabulous outfits, getting some great wigs, just like, keeping her going really. But there's no like goal of doing it full time. And I like that she's like, she comes out when she feels like it, Yeah. She comes out for the right price. So that's kind of my views on it.
Yeah, great. All right, well, please, where can people find more about Charlie and Charlene, to if they either want to book you or if they want to see you perform?
Sure. So my Instagram for Charlene is @the Charlene Coco. the only one. And then God Save the Queers is at _ God Save the Queers. And then Charlie's Instagram is at Charrob, AA, so CHAAROB. And yeah, that's all my platforms. Find me anywhere on there. I'm always available for bookings.
Great.
And yeah, the next show I think is May 30th.
And
God Save the Queers.
And when a corporate books you know, for a workshop, what are they actually going to get?
It depends.
What's the day going to be like?
So it depends what they want. Like we do parties. So we'll do like corporate parties. So a classic Pride party where we'll do performances, DJing, games, but then also it's like a commercial version of God Save the Queers, basically. And then we always tie it with like a talk or some educational element. So how we can all be like drag queens at work is one of our like keynote talks, which we'll give in drag. So normally we do like a talk and then a party element, and then obviously we run other workshops outside of my drag persona as well.
Great.
And team days, yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you, not only for coming all this way over here to do this, but for getting all dressed up so fabulously and sitting here and spending all this time with me talking about it. It's been, really a treat.
Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for you inviting me, and it's been my pleasure to be here today. I'm excited to take this course off, but I really appreciate it.
Cool. Well, maybe I'll be at the next show with your mom and dad.
Yeah, do come, please. I'd love that.
Thanks. Damn Yankee is an NL Times podcast. The show is created by me and Peach Rizzo, and this episode was produced by Laura Bodger, Marcus Engel, and thanks for filling in, Tom Lulofs.